putting Who Day in Your Day on the Adam and Adams Show.
Marie!
What?
Babe, can you go get me some more Cubanisto? I don't have any more Cubanisto, please.
Pardon? Mais ça va pas ou quoi? Mais va le chercher ton cubanisto. Lui, non? Il est fou, je crois pas. Mieux.
Okay, Adam.
Glenn.
I know you want to talk about the draft.
Yeah, I'd love to talk about the draft.
But before we get to that, Wednesday night, I went to see a little movie called Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. You texted me last night and said you were going to see last night Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. What did you think? And for the people out there, spoiler alert, we're going to try to be not spoilery. Adam, what did you think?
Yeah, and I'm not gonna do any spoilers or anything like that. I would fast forward this part though, just because I don't want anybody who hasn't seen it. I don't want you to base your expectations on what our thoughts were. But what I'll say is I enjoyed it. I stayed entertained. I stayed involved. It was much darker than most MCU films. Not in a bad way necessarily, just in a different way. There were some cameo appearances in the movie, which is always exciting. Less cameos and less notable cameos than maybe I would have liked to see.
Our expectations for that was really high.
It was high, and in that regard, I was somewhat disappointed. There was this, I don't know if this is a spoiler. Well, anyway, go see it. It was good, was not great. I did enjoy it. I would watch it again, and I would recommend, if you are a Marvel fan, I would recommend you go see it, but not one of my top 10 probably. How about you?
Nail head. Yeah, it was good. I'm glad I went and saw it. I'm glad I was able to avoid some of the spoilers. Unfortunately, not all of them. So when a cameo did appear, it had less of an impact on me. You're probably right. I think I could come up with 10 films I like better. This is spoilery. Go see the movie. It's a good movie. You're going to have fun.
Yeah,
you're going to enjoy it. But it felt more like another character's movie than a Doctor Strange movie. And Doctor Strange seemed more like the MacGuffin to get you to the other part of the movie rather than surrounding Doctor Strange. They tried to make it about Doctor Strange, but in the end, when I think back on it, it wasn't really about him. He was just there. It was about, I guess everybody knows who I'm thinking of, but there were some fantastic scenes. Like there was one moment, Adam, I don't know if you know what my favorite comic book was when I was growing up. I'm not sure we ever talked about it, but there was a scene in that movie when I saw two characters on the screen at the same time. And I just literally went to the edge of my seat like this, like, oh my God, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? And I saw these two characters ever since we started this MCU thing, I was like, I didn't think it would happen. I didn't think I would ever see it. And then I saw it. And then my head just went, oh my God, what does this mean? Who's about to show up at this moment? And what are they going to say to each other? And my expectations at that second went this high. It went through the roof. And then it came back down, it came crashing down immediately.
I think I know what you're referring to here, but yeah.
Cool. That was a little cool moment. It was my favorite moment of the movie, that part.
In the scene I think that you're referring to, I took both of my boys and some of their friends, and some of their friends' substitute teacher was in the audience. And in that scene that I think you're talking about, you hear a very loud, very audible, "Oh my gosh!" it was when that happened. It was a certain cameo appearance, and everybody's looking around. Just you just said that out loud. I think it was supposed to be internal, but it was definitely external. It was very funny. So.
Well, this happened after we already knew who was all in the movie.
All right, we'll talk about it off.
Yeah,
off.
We'll talk about it off. Yeah. But yeah, that moment I was like, because I was like, if you know, I can't even tell you what was my favorite comics growing up without giving away any spoilers. But yeah,
okay, we'll talk about it later. But one thing it did open, there definitely will be another movie. It even said that after the credits, said there will be another Doctor Strange. And it was kind of cool because after that first credit scene, there's 2 end credit scenes. After the first one, it really opens up and sets up what we're gonna see in the next movie. So kind of interesting.
I'm an MCU stan, but this movie, I don't know what would have had to have happened for me to like just be, oh, this was the greatest movie ever and I can't blah blah blah. Definitely not my top 5, probably not my top 10 favorite MCU film, but yeah, go see it. A must see. Check out. It's a good film. You'll have fun.
That's and really cool cinematography. There were some really visually very neat scenes. Hey, speaking of MCU, I finished Moon Knight. Did you?
I did.
Okay.
I did. What did you think about that?
It was okay.
It was okay. I finished Moon Knight before we went to go see Doctor Strange 2, and I was like, well, at least I'll see Doctor Strange 2 to make up for this disappointment. That's what I was thinking in my head. Like, yeah, this was underwhelming.
Yeah, I mean, I think the comics, there's a bunch that they tried to condense into 6 episodes or whatever it was. Yeah. So yeah, I'm with you. I definitely feel that way.
Yeah, but overall, it was good. I mean, it started off great. I'll probably end up watching it again. Like I watched WandaVision. I'll watch it again. The finale was kind of
I thought the acting was really good, but yeah, it was okay.
Actress who played the girlfriend, she got in on it at the end. Well, spoiler alert. Yeah. And you got to see some of her range and her craziness as well. So that was good to see. And that was a surprise. What happened to her? I was not expecting that.
Check it out. It's not unwatchable. So if you're a Marvel fan, go check it out.
Who Day in Your Day on the Adam and Adams Show.
And we're back. Okay, Adam, Cincinnati Bengals NFL Draft 2022. Where do you want to start?
Let's start with last week we talked about the first round. Obviously, we were awaiting days 2 and 3. So I think that's a good place to start. Let's kind of get I want to get a feeling from you on how you thought rounds 2 through 7 went. And then maybe we can even touch on the free agent class that the Bengals signed and see if there's any, any room on the roster for any of those guys. So let's do that.
Okay. First of all, Adam, please explain to our viewers how in the blue hell did you predict a trade up for Cam Taylor-Britt?
I don't know if I predicted it or if I just thought, all right, how much I liked Cam Taylor-Britt. I talked about him on multiple episodes. I saw him as somebody that I think that would really, really fit what the Bengals are trying to do. His leadership, his athleticism, his ability to play multiple positions in the secondary. I posed the question to you last week. Could you see the Bengals trading up?
I knew where you were going. This wasn't a question. This was leading. This was leading. You knew exactly what you were doing, and you knew exactly who you were targeting. Because I know you wanted Cam Taylor-Britt. I felt you wanting to trade up for him.
Yeah, and I would have been willing to do that. So yeah. Now, with that said, all right, so there's hits and misses, right? So we hit, I guess, Cam Taylor-Britt was a hit. My miss was Jamari Salyer, who I thought the Bengals could target in the second round. He went in the 6th.
Spoiler alert, dude. We have a top 5 to get to.
Yeah.
We'll
okay. I do want to talk about him. Let's get to him later.
Yeah, we will get to Jamari Salyer and that whole damn Los Angeles Chargers. Jesus, man. Jesus, man.
At a fortress. Justin Herbert has a fortress in front of him.
My goodness. Point. They're going to be so good. So good. Yeah. But Cam Taylor-Britt, I like it when I went to go back and think about the draft as a whole and saw how things turned out, I liked it a lot better than I did initially. I was ready to give this draft an F, but that's why, I took some time. I reflected. I see how all the draft picks went. And I was like, you know what? You wanted an outside corner. I was hesitating between Hill and McCreary. McCreary went 35. So we had zero shot at him in the second round. They wanted an outside corner. They targeted their guy. They went up to get him. You know what? I appreciate that, because in all of my mock drafts, I got my guy. I was like, this is a guy I love. I want him. You got to take him there. The Bengals did that. So I can't fault them with that pick. And plus, you called it. You called the trade up. You called the player. I mean, you called the trifecta, even though that's only two. But you know what I'm saying. I'm happy with that. And I know you are too.
And let's talk about the Bengals secondary. They drafted 3 DBs in this draft. And I think my only concern is that they did not draft a true outside corner. I think that they feel like they can convert Cam Taylor-Britt to outside corner, given his athleticism, given his speed, given his reflexes and his instincts. That's my only concern, though. They did not target a true outside corner. However, they did target some crazy athletes to play in the secondary. Bell is still there. Bates is still there. We talk about the Chargers. Actually, every team in the AFC West, the passing attacks on a lot of these teams is going to be ridiculous. Yeah. The speed, the athleticism. So I will give the Bengals credit in that they drafted guys who can hopefully be able to keep up with these offenses who are just going to just air it out this year. Tyson Anderson was another one that they drafted from Toledo. He's somebody I kind of looked at pre-draft. He's not a real good coverage DB. He is very fast. He's good. He's good in run support, but I have a question mark on him in terms of being able to cover. But the thing is there's not this huge gaping hole of positional need in the Bengals anywhere on their roster. They have everybody returning from last year except for Ogunjobi, I guess. But so again, I guess my point is that I will give the Bengals credit for playing chess with these teams who have added weapons in the AFC, because like we said last week, it's not just about being able to contend in the AFC North anymore. The Bengals are legitimate. They have to contend in the AFC period. So again, I'm going to give the Bengals credit for that. I like it, but what are your thoughts?
I like those first 2 picks. I'm on board with. You know how I felt about Daxton Hill before the draft. Cam Taylor-Britt, you brought me around to him. It was in the third round, things started to get a little bit iffy for me. We drafted Zach Carter at 95. I looked at him during the season when I was doing my stuff on what college games people should watch. And I talked about Zach Carter, and I had him as a defensive end all the way. Sure, he lined up as some 3 tech, but yeah, he was a defensive end. So the Bengals are hoping he can play the 3 tech. They're counting on him to be able to do that. I hope so. I hope he can, but we didn't get to see very much of that in college. So they're doing a little bit of a projection there that I'm not sure I like, especially with a guy like Perion Winfrey still on the board at that point. So I guess he fell because of some odd reasons. We don't know what exactly, but we have a guy who played 3 tech in college who was successful at that point, and we're drafting a guy who we hope can play 3 tech. That's always a big deal for me when it comes to drafting guys. And then Perion Winfrey went to the Browns, so I'm not a big fan of that either. Logan Bruce was still on the board. So if you wanted a right tackle, we're about to get to that. If you wanted a right tackle, possibly play guard, you had Logan Bruce, who pretty much shut out that Michigan defense. And we went another route. So Zach Carter, wish him luck. I hate talking about guys. Like, I don't want to bash any of the young guys coming out of college. I hope they all succeed. I hope they all go to the Hall of Fame. If the Bengals were looking for a 3 tech, there were other options. Maybe they could have, but they got their guy. So
yeah, I mean, so with Carter, I do agree with you. There just wasn't a lot of college production that would say this guy is a 3rd round pick. I don't.
He wasn't a third round pick for anyone,
Mhm.
which is, but anyway.
Yeah, I don't see him really as an outside, as an edge threat. I see him more. He doesn't have explosive speed or anything like that. He's strong. He has very strong hands. He is someone who thrives more so in a unit, as a complement to the unit, more so than on his own. So it is, like you said, I think it's a wait and see type of thing. I didn't hate what I saw, but it's just not, to me, it wasn't their 7th round pick to me is more impressive than the 3rd round pick if you just look at production. Yeah, so let's talk about him. Jeffrey Gunter, out of Coastal Carolina. I think the Bengals signed like 3 guys out of Coastal Carolina. They must have watched a lot of their games.
And Jerome Simpson.
Yeah, right. Yeah, probably the biggest Bengals highlight of all time, with the flip. Anyway, so if you just look at Gunter's stats in his college career, it jumps off the page: 9 forced fumbles, 2 block kicks, 13 sacks, and that's just over the last 2 years. That is pretty impressive for a guy that plays on this, Coastal Carolina team. And just watching his film, he's very active, very energetic. I think the Bengals got a steal getting him in the 7th round. I thought he was a very good pick for them. But what jumped out to you?
I liked his production. I liked that they knew what they wanted. What I didn't like, I was trying to marry this draft and last year's draft. So with a guy like Zach Carter, I was thinking Cam Sample. It's pretty much the same player. For Jeffrey Gunter, I was thinking Wyatt Hubert or Joseph Osai. And I was like, yeah, it's the same type. It's kind of repetitive. So I'm kind of worried about that. What does that mean for the guys who were drafted last year? Does that mean that they're worried about Joseph Osai? Something like that? Is this just insurance on his injury? But it's a 7th round pick. So at the same time, hey, he's got good production. Like you said, his enthusiasm for the game jumps off the film. I can't even be mad at them picking him in the 7th round, because I don't think there was anybody there that I really, really loved after that, except for the guy out of Arkansas who didn't get drafted at all. When I look back at last year's draft, I'm like, all right, how are all these guys going to make the team? Somebody's going to have to go.
Well, I think we could make the case, pretty strong case, that none of the guys that they drafted in this draft are going to start day one. Maybe except for the next guy we're going to talk about, but they are. They're bringing everybody back. They're bringing everybody back from last year, Super Bowl team. So these guys that they've drafted, and you said the word insurance. I think that's a great word to describe what they drafted this year. If somebody goes down, there's somebody to step right up. So again, the Bengals didn't have any glaring needs at any of their positions on either side of the ball. So these guys are depth pieces, they're insurance. So with that said, I think that they are, maybe it is sort of this blueprint that they have for what they're looking for. Sample, Osai equals Gunter and Carter, or whatever the case is. So I think that's a very good point. The next guy I want to talk about is somebody that we had mentioned last week that they're going to need to probably address that left guard position, especially in light of the news that we got on Jackson Carman. So in the 4th round, they drafted Cordell Volson, and he from North Dakota State, played in front of Trey Lance last year. So he was their 4th round pick. I know that I know you didn't think too fondly of this pick, given who was still on the board. We could point back to last year when they drafted Carman ahead of guys like Ben Cleveland and Creed Humphrey and some of those guys. So does this remind you of last year at all? What are your thoughts? Hit us. Tell us what you think.
Can I digress? Can we stop with the draft for 1 second?
Yes.
All right. This was something I wanted to talk about. It's not on the schedule. Can I be sick of our offensive line coach? What's his name?
Sure.
It doesn't matter what his name is.
Pollock.
Yeah,
Frank
whatever.
Pollock.
Can I be sick of him yet?
Mm-hmm.
Because,
Sure.
dude, all right. The offensive line was horrible. We needed to go out. We needed to draft offensive linemen. We drafted 3 offensive linemen last year. The offensive line was still horrible. And it wasn't even those rookies' fault necessarily, even though everybody was expecting Carman to start. The offensive line still didn't live up to the potential or whatever that they were supposed to. But thank God we got Pollock back, because when Pollock was here, Joe Mixon ran for a gazillion yards. Yes, and Joe Mixon, again, ran for a gazillion yards. Like I said before the draft, every time I said an offensive lineman was bad, everybody on Twitter would just post a tweet of an offensive lineman pushing somebody 30 yards down the field. They're still doing it after the draft. I don't know if you check out Bengals Twitter. They're still doing that crap. And I'm like, can he protect Joe Burrow? And I never get the answer to that question. Or I get the wrong answer, because I see what Florida State defensive linemen and Pittsburgh defensive linemen do to guys who are getting taken in the second round, and people are trying to tell me that the Bengals should take that guy. Listen, I'm tired of the glass eaters. I'm tired of the shit in the neckers. Be careful with that word. Dude, I think the traits that he's looking for, because I guess that was supposed to be a Pollock pick, the traits that he's looking for should be a good player. Like, I think that gets lost so much in the whole identifying of players in the draft and whoever going to draft. How about drafting a good player? How about drafting a good offensive lineman? How about drafting a guy who shut down the 26, I forget, a first round defensive end? We got a guy on the board in the 4th round who shut that guy out. And that guy, the defensive end from Florida State, goes in the 1st round. Everybody's praising the New York Jets. And the guy who shut him out is sitting there in the 4th round. You say you want an offensive lineman, and you pick a right tackle who I watch, who can get pushed back some. And now there are people in Bengals land saying he's going to play left guard. I heard you say that. I almost stopped you right there. I almost reached through this computer and strangled you down, Adam. He didn't play left guard. How do we know he can play left guard? We have no clue if he can play left guard. We barely have a clue that he can play right guard. He is a right tackle all the way. Once again, you're projecting just like you did with Jackson Carman. Now you're doing it with this guy. And somebody said he could be the next Clint Bowling. Clint Bowling played left guard at Georgia. There was a reason why Clint Bowling, when he had to play left tackle for the Bengals, do you guys remember that experiment? Yeah, there's a reason for that, because you just can't willy-nilly put people places and say, hey, it's the same thing on the offensive line. I'm so sick of this offensive line coach, and everybody thinks it's cute, and everybody still thinks it's cute. He was the offensive line coach last year when Joe Burrow got sacked for the most times ever in the history of the NFL. The offensive line coach was that guy. Now he's going to be a good offensive line coach because we got veterans who we know are good players. So now all of a sudden he's good. It's kind of Zach Taylor. We know he's good. He's got Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. So Zach Taylor's good now. Funny how that works, right? Yeah, go ahead, talk about your Volson, dude. Yeah. You got it. I'm sorry.
No further questions, Your Honor.
What do you think of him?
My thought was I don't know, because like you said, he played right tackle last year. The year before, he
tackled every year.
Well, he blocked for Trey Lance. Christian Watson, who was drafted in the 2nd round by Green Bay. He kept some plays alive for some of those touchdown receptions. He's a big dude.
He's like saying Eichenberg kept plays alive for Ian Book in the Notre Dame offense. He's better than Eichenberg.
He's good. Listen,
he's better than Eichenberg.
This is gonna make you mad. He's great at the 2nd level in run blocking.
I do like that. That's one of the things I look for. How good?
That's not protecting Joe Burrow though.
But that's like the second thing I look for. How good are you at the 2nd level? Can you block guys in space?
He's good at that. Yeah.
Okay. Fine. I'm still not.
Listen, I like him. I'm willing to see what other options they have. The left guard. We'll get to that. We'll get to that. We will get to that. Yeah, he's kind of a wait and see guy. So let's wait and see.
Yeah,
that's all I got.
Let's wait and see. But yeah, so I'm obviously not a fan of that pick, especially with my guy who PFF. If you don't believe me, just go to PFF. They put him all the way up to 64 in their overall rankings. Zach Tom, and he's
Tom.
still there. And he's
Mhm.
still there.
Yeah.
And he got taken. He was the next offensive lineman off the board, was Zach Tom. So you're looking for an offensive lineman. But you know what? I digress. Starting at the third round, the draft kind of ran off the rails for me.
All right, fair enough. So let's talk about after the draft. They signed a bevy of college free agents. Was there anybody that jumped out to you that you think maybe that were kind of diamonds in the rough, so to speak?
The wide receiver out of Kansas,
Kwame Lassiter.
I
second.
think, yeah, I think he is a good player. I think he's a confident player. I think I wrote about this recently. He can return punts. He has good hands, strong hands. He can get open. Yeah, I really like him. I like him a lot.
His dad was a safety, Kwame
the
Lassiter senior for Arizona. Yep. So he has
Played with
football
Pat
genes.
Tillman.
Yep, he did. Can I say though that I think I'd still rather see his college teammate from last season, 2 seasons ago, Puka Williams, return punts for the Bengals over him. But I digress.
Puka didn't do it though.
I know.
That's if he can come into that, but it's so rare that you get these guys, you ask them to do stuff that they didn't do in college, and you ask them to do it at the NFL level. Yeah, I would love, in theory, for Puka Williams to come and win that job. I would love for Puka Williams to be the third running back. They moved him to wide receiver. It's one of these projections. Maybe they think that's his best option of making a team, but yeah, I think a fourth running back or a third running back, if Chris Evans can take the job, the second running back job. Yeah, I think Lassiter, I like him. I think people are going to be surprised when he comes in. I think somebody like Pollock is going to love his run blocking because he's really physical at that point. Yeah, I think people are going to like him. Now, what happens with Clark Harris, I don't know. If the long snapper, I can't pronounce his name.
Al Adamitis. Out of Pitt. Yeah. Regarded as the best long snapper, maybe one of the best long snappers in the nation.
Yeah.
I don't know how you quantify that. But,
yeah. I think it's going to come down to how fast the ball gets back there, how accurate he is, and how well he covers kicks, how fast he can get down the field. Now, I don't think he'll make the team over Clark Harris, but you never know. We'll see. So I think those are 2 guys who have, I guess, what I would call the least resistance to the roster.
Anybody else?
Those are the big 2.
Okay. I'll mention a few. I was going to talk about Adamitis and Lassiter. There's actually another wide receiver that I might like more than Lassiter. Another guy out of Coastal Carolina, Javon Hiley, first team all Sun Belt 2 years in a row. He's 6 foot 200, so has a little bit of size on him. 66 receptions, 1,100 yards, 7 touchdowns. His average was 17 yards a catch. So somebody that can stretch the field. Lassiter was more of like a 10 yards a catch type of guy. I think he had 3 touchdowns last year, maybe. Lassiter did. So Highlight might be somebody that comes in and kind of fills that Auden Tate role that we've seen over the last few years. Actually, if he fills the Auden Tate role, he's going to be on IR. So I shouldn't say that.
That's not very nice.
I do want to bring up, I'm sorry.
Bengals Twitter is about to come after you.
My bad. All right. I'll just speak the truth. So another guy I want to talk about, Glenn, that is seen as sort of a free agent steal is a guy named Ben Brown, guard / center out of Ole Miss, 6'5", 312. He was projected as a 5th or 6th round pick before he had a biceps injury last year that cost him the season or half of the season. But before that, he was projected as a guy that you might see kind of go in a mid to late round in the draft. So is he somebody you've looked at before?
Ben Brown was, I actually thought if we were to do a predictive draft, I would have said there's 100% chance the Bengals would have drafted him, 100%. But he ended up going undrafted, which was surprising. And of course, he comes to the Bengals. I just didn't, personally, for myself, I didn't like his tape. Yeah, he didn't overwhelm me. But I think what the Bengals like, he must have shit in his neck and eat glass, and he can play center and guard. That's the formula. It doesn't matter how good he was, or it doesn't matter. It's just he's big, he's mean, he's rough and tough. He has some good reps, and he can play. He plays center and he played guard. That's all That's all he needs to do.
But no draft capital wasted. So,
No draft capital wasted.
risk.
But Ben Brown fits an idea that the Bengals want. And they're going to give him every opportunity to take that job just because of the narrative of he can play. He's versatile. He's a glass eater. We need to hold on to him because another team might come and swoop him in and grab him or something like that. And we can't let that happen. And we can sneak some other guys onto the practice squad or something like that. The Bengals are going to give Ben Brown every opportunity to win that job.
Okay.
What did you think about? Well,
yeah.
You happy with that?
On Brown?
Yeah.
There's no risk. A couple other guys that kind of jumped out. Carson Wells was a name that I saw pre-draft. Had 12 sacks his last 2 years at Colorado, 29 and a half tackles for a loss. Not real fat. I mean, nothing exciting about him really. He might be a practice squad type of guy. And then I wanted the Bengals to draft a tight end. They signed 2 of them, one from Florida State. The other guy, Justin Rigg, is a guy from Kentucky. I only mention him because he's my oldest son's favorite player,
Wow.
college player.
Nice.
So he's 6'6", 263, had 4 touchdowns last year.
Well, I hope he makes the squad just for that.
I do too.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's all I got.
After the first 2 rounds, I'm kind of free agents. I think there's a couple who will have a chance. Go check out that article on stripehype.com. I'm always excited for the guys who I love those stories and those phone calls and those videos, man. That's my favorite part of the draft. Like, I must be getting old. Moms and the dudes crying. And then, of course, the Twitter, who get on the clothes and the outfits and stuff. That's kind of fun.
It's a life-changing thing for these young kids. It is. It's kind of neat to see.
Yeah. So I've kind of softened because I used to kill people, but I try not to kill them too much. These young kids, they don't deserve that. They haven't done anything but be better at what they do than anything I am at what I do. So I don't want to tell them that they're awful or blah, blah, blah. So I apologize for that if it comes off like that. But yeah, we all have players that we rather our favorite team take.
Putting Who Day in your day on the Adam and Adams Show.
Okay, Adam, that's enough talk about the Cincinnati Bengals. Let's run around the NFL. Give me your 5 favorite draft picks from this draft who weren't Cincinnati Bengals selections.
Okay. There were a bunch.
Yeah.
To get it down to 5 was kind of tough, but
you can cheat.
All right. Well, I'm gonna start with number 1, first round pick from the Jets, Jermaine Johnson. He was somebody that we talked about that last week. He's somebody that fell past projections. I mean, the Jets traded back into the first round. They got a guy that they felt was going to obviously upgrade that the front 4 for them. So I really thought that was a good pick for them, good value. I mean, obviously, you're trading picks to move up into the first round, but they got somebody that should be pretty dynamic in the NFL. So that was my number 1.
Well, my number 5, I'm going to go 5-1. So my number 5 was same team, New York Jets, Sauce Gardner, 4th overall. Love that for him. Great player, great coverage player. I hope he does great things with the Jets.
Yeah, I do too. Of course, as Cincinnati fans, Sauce Gardner, you want to see the guy succeed. So I think that's a good one. My number 2, doggone it, Calvin Austin, the 3rd, Steelers, 4th round pick. He was picked 138. He ran a 4.3 40. They asked Sauce Gardner, speaking of Sauce, who the toughest player to guard was in college, and he said Calvin Austin the 3rd. Austin was actually the 2nd receiver that the Steelers picked. They took George Pickens out of Georgia first. But one thing we know about the Steelers is they retool every year at the receiver position. They usually do a pretty good job of it. So I thought it was a great pick by the Steelers, as bad as I hate to say that.
Mosquito. Sorry about that. I apologize. George
It was
Pickens.
Calvin Austin, that mosquito.
And it was too fast. He got away from me.
Right.
George Pickens. Yeah, that guy. Just Google or YouTube or whatever, that guy. The Steelers fans are happy to have him, and you'll see why very, very quickly. My number 4 is Roger McCreary, of course. Went to the Titans. He went 35, so 5 picks after the Bengals chose Hill. I loved him. I hesitated between him and Elam as to which one was my favorite outside corner. Elam went a lot earlier Then the Bengals at 31. So oh yeah, 35, 4 picks later. And Roger McCurry, I think the Titans have a pretty good player.
Yeah, I would agree on that. So my third guy, Christian Watson, Green Bay, pick 34. We kind of picked apart their first 2 picks. They picked 2 defensive players to begin the draft in the first round, knowing that they needed some pass catching. But shoot, lo and behold, Green Bay not only got Christian Watson, who okay.
No, please go. No,
Christian Watson.
No, continue that thought. No, go please.
A lot of analysts projected he may have even gone in the first round, possibly to Kansas City. Green Bay got a gem that I know you like, so I'll let so we'll maybe talk about him later.
But no, just keep going with that.
Yeah, Romeo Doubs is another guy that they picked. So they actually had a great draft when it comes to pass catchers for the veteran Aaron Rodgers.
Number 3, it's a tie. Marcus Jones for the New England Patriots. I mean, yeah, it's Marcus Jones to the Patriots. We should have seen this coming from a mile away. That's just so obvious. We should have known that. And Logan Bruce for the Rams. I couldn't decide which one, so I just put them together. Yeah, Logan Bruce for the Rams at 104. Those 2 picks. Those just gutted me. Both of them. I love those picks for those teams.
Absolutely. You know how much I like Marcus Jones as well. So agreed.
Who's going to return punts for us?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I have no idea. Yeah. I was hoping it would be Marcus Jones, quite frankly. But
a lot of Bengals fans were hoping it was going to be Marcus Jones.
So yeah, we'll just wait and see. My number 4 guy, Matt Ariza. He went to the Bills actually in the 6th round. The crazy thing about this is the best punting prospect of all time was a 3rd punter taken in the draft. And actually, I think another kicker even went before him too.
Yeah. Maybe that was just Twitter fooling us. We're on Twitter trying to figure out this stuff, and everybody's like, "Punt God," and we fell for it.
Maybe I don't know. I mean, I know what I see with my eyes, and what he was doing is crazy.
Punts, yeah.
In the precision, So I think the Bills got their punt. They got their punter in the 6th round, no less. So.
All right, so I'm going to number 2, so I'm going to cheat. I hope I'm not stealing your guy. Zion Johnson for the Chargers at 17 overall, and Jamari Sawyer, Chargers, 195 overall, 6th round. You mentioned it before. I mean, just an embarrassment of riches. And he doesn't have to play left tackle. He doesn't have to play left guard. Maybe he can be a backup left tackle, left guard. They should not try to move him to the right side. They should leave him on the left side. Left tackle, left guard. Get him some work in there. The Chargers, man, they're scary. I'm scared of the Chargers. You asked me my AFC pick for the Super Bowl, not the Bengals. It's going to be the Chargers. I think I just love everything about that team. Everything.
Yeah.
The head coach, the quarterback, the offensive line, the defense, the Chargers are scary.
They drafted a dynamic backup running back too, who could step in and be a big difference maker behind Eckler. So, yeah. And this is where you finished with your thought on that one? Okay, so this is where I eat my big old crap sandwich. I had Salyer projected, 2nd round. If the Bengals were going to take him there.
Same.
He fell all the way to the 6th round to the Chargers. And I'm thinking, how in the world did he drop that far? I'm reading things like, oh, he wasn't tall enough. They dude is 6'3". What do you want?
Yeah.
He has a weird body type. Okay. Go watch his film. He's a little clunky at left tackle. He's not going to play left tackle. He's going to play left guard in the NFL. All I know is what I see on film and what I saw from him, his ability to switch positions in the national championship game and only allow one pressure against Alabama. The guy is impressive. I really, really liked Jamar Salyer and what I saw from him. And lo and behold, he drops at the 6th round. And the Chargers, who are already fortified on that offensive line, bringing a guy that I just really, really liked, and he fell all the way to the 6th round. So yeah, you're right. Kudos to the Chargers. Good on you. He may not work out. Who knows? But I believe he will. So what do you do?
You sound like me now.
No, I felt yes.
You're starting to see some of the things.
You're rubbing off on me.
You're just starting to see, wait a minute, I see this guy play, and now I got to hear about his RAS score, his RAS score, how long his arms are, how he has a weird body. Can he play football?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
You're starting,
definitively, yes.
You're starting to come around.
Analytics.
Yeah. That's not even analytics. That's just NFL people thinking.
Yeah.
That's that glass eater type ish that I was talking about. I forget which player was it for me. Which player? It'll come to me where I was like, this is stupid. What are you people talking about? This is dumb. John Ross was one of those players. It was like, what are you doing? Like, no, like this. He can stretch the field.
And catch a football.
Yeah, there are things like that where you hear and you go, yeah, but he can't. Last year was Eichenberg leading that ball. I gotta leave Eichenberg. I gotta leave Eichenberg.
We need to strike that name from your vocabulary.
We need to. Hey, we're in the lounge. We need to make that a drinking game. Every time I say Eichenberg or Leatherwood,
we will not make it through the episode.
We would not. But yeah, there are certain things that you start to pick up on when you start watching these guys for yourself, and you go like, what the hell are you talking about? And then you start getting into narratives and things like that. So yeah, you sound like me.
Well, my number 5, I'm sad, Glenn. I'm sad.
I see that.
I'm gonna lose sleep at night.
I don't mean to laugh at your pain.
I'm gonna lose sleep at night. David Ojabo, Ravens, 2nd round, pick 45. He was a top 5 pick before his Achilles injury at his pro day. He dropped to the 2nd round, pick 45. I can't just stop at David Ojabo for the Ravens. It was every freaking pick. Hamilton falls to the Ravens. A top 3 prospect falls to the Ravens. Tyler Linderbaum falls to the Ravens. Travis Jones falls to the Ravens in the 3rd round.
Won it in the 1st round.
Daniel Fa'alele, 4th round, who is a project. He was the biggest dude at the combine. Massive.
He's just big though.
He's a big guy. But then they locked up 2 of the better tight end prospects, Kohler from Iowa State, and then Isaiah Likely, and that's on top of Mark Andrews. You know, the Ravens had an unbelievable draft. Yeah, I'm gonna lose sleep on this one.
Every pick I thought about you. Every pick of that Ravens draft, I was like, wow. See, I didn't mind Linderbaum so much, but everybody else, it was like, wow. We needed a free safety. We thought people were talking the defensive tackle in the 1st round for the Bengals. Wow. Just 2 tight ends? 2? The Bengals drafted 0. Wow. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So yeah.
The Bengals don't have a Mark Andrews, by the way. So
yeah.
That was tough. That was tough.
Yeah.
Hey, still got to play though. Hey, still games to be played.
You kind of touched on my number 1. And again, I'm cheating. It's 1 team, but it's like 3 picks. The Green Bay Packers. Romeo Doubs, Zach Tom. And the kid out of Nebraska, Toure. I think his name is Toure. Yeah, in the 7th round. So yeah, they got Aaron Rodgers, some pass catchers. Maybe not the pass catchers that Green Bay fans wanted, but a guy that I absolutely loved in Romeo Doubs, who can also return kicks. He's Tyler Boyd. He can return kicks. They probably won't ask him to, but he could if they if he had to. Zach Tom, my third, maybe my second favorite player in all of this draft. Just, hey, we're going to draft an offensive lineman. He's just going to be another guy drafted in the 4th round. Man, get out of here. Man, jeez, man. Yeah, so that Green Bay Packers draft was, like you said before, it was a good draft for them. So a little bit of envy there. But yeah, but the Bengals,
just sad.
Yeah, the Bengals had a plan. Now. They wanted defense, and they wanted defensive secondary, and the Ravens got all of your guys.
They got all of my guys. What are you doing to me?
Yeah,
but the Bengals were in the Super Bowl last year, and they are Super Bowl contenders this year. So
the Bengals were in the Super Bowl.
That's a positive.
And I don't know. It might be out now. It might not come out till tomorrow. But it's already been approved. I talked about Louis Riddick's comment on ESPN talking about how the Cincinnati Bengals should be banging at the door again of the Super Bowl, while everybody else seems to be counting out the Bengals for some reason. But then you see that Baltimore Ravens draft.
Yeah. I think you touched on something that is interesting, because even if you look at Vegas odds, the Bengals they're not way on. I mean, they're favored. They're up there, but they're not favorites. There's a lot of teams ahead of them, and I don't understand that. I think the NFL community still sees the Bengals as the Bengals, and it was kind of a once-off. And but the talent that they have, the young talent that they have, everybody's back from last year. You could have said that about the Bucs the year before. I get that, but I don't know. I don't see the Bengals going anywhere. I think they're still going to contend.
I think you're right. I hope you're right.
Mm-hmm. I hope so too.
But that Ravens draft was
made me sad.
I felt Bengals fans everywhere, like, oh no, oh no, oh no.
Yeah.
I wasn't as big on Linderbaum as most guys were, that. And I think Falele out of Minnesota, I remember going to watch him thinking I was going to love him. And it was just like, oh, wow. Okay, this is it. All right. So I'm not worried about that. But yeah, Jones out of UConn, Hamilton. The 2 tight ends, Isaiah Likely. Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And, Lamar Jackson loves his tight ends.
Yes, I do.
I got a friend here who's a Ravens fan. I'm gonna have to do an episode with him because he's gonna. Wow.
I may or may not watch.
I may have to do it in French.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
With that said, though, hey, check out my guy Glenn Adams, Stripe Hype. Check out his articles. Fantastic job, my friend.
Thank you, sir.
Keep them coming.
And check out Adam at A Cincy Fan. He might predict. I don't know who the Bengals are gonna sign next. He's going to tell you what we're going to do with Jesse Bates before anybody else does. He seems to know these things. He has an inside source. So yeah, check him out at A Cincy Fan on Twitter.
Good job.
You need to start a blog or something.
Okay. So
that way, or Tumblr.
Yeah. I don't know what that is. Is that like acrobatics or something?
Jesus, Adam. What do the kids say? Okay, boomer. No, it's a social media site where you blog and stuff.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. So you have this in writing. I was there. We have it on video. It's been recorded that you caught that 2nd round pick and the trade up. Jeez, that was amazing. Anyway, well, that's all we have for today, Bengals fans. And until next time, be safe, be careful, have a great day, have a Who Day.
Who Day.